Hello everyone, in this video we'll talk about arguments. Arguments are composed of statements, and these statements are called premises. Premises are statements you want your reader to buy into in order for them to also agree with your conclusion. So the premises then should lead to the conclusion. You can see this with the numbers. Premises are usually numbered, 1, 2, and the conclusion is also numbered, typically, well, in our case, then here, 3. So when you compose an argument, you want these premises to kind of be tied with each other. That they need to work with each other so that they can lead the reader to the conclusion, right? If they buy into the first premise, then you want them to buy into the second premise, et cetera, et cetera. When you put these arguments together in a class, you want to put the premises on the top and the conclusion on the bottom, and this is called standard form. So an example of this would be something like 1, it's either cold or it's warm. Premise 2, it is not cold. And the premise conclusion would be therefore it is warm. So you want the premises to lead to the conclusion, and one great way to do that is by understanding the concept of validity. Validity doesn't have to do with the truth necessarily of the argument; it has to do with the structure of the argument. So it has to do with the words on the page and their relationship to something called operators. The operator in a sentence is going to are terms such as the word and, not, if, or then, either or, if and only if. These are operators. So an argument is valid when it's set up structurally the correct way. And it has nothing to do with the meaning of the words, except for the operators, in the sentence. Usually there's variables, and you substitute a word for the variables. So say, for example, you set up a valid argument with variables like this. It's P then Q, P, 3, therefore Q. That's a valid argument. It's modus ponens. Here you could substitute the P and the Q like this. P equals Pete likes coffee. Q is he is happy. You can see the argument then like this. If Pete likes coffee, Q, then he is happy. P, Pete likes coffee. 3, Q, therefore he is happy. So this is a valid argument. It has a correct structure. That doesn't mean that it's true. But premises need to relate to each other and to the conclusion in this sort of way, kind of like the way jigsaw puzzle pieces relate to each other, right? They all fit together a particular way. And when they fit together in that right way, an image emerges, right? But what if there's a gap? If there's a gap, that's not good. Then you're missing something in the image. And so the premises should fit together, kind of the jigsaw puzzle pieces fit together, such that when they're put together in the right way, the image just emerges, just like the conclusion just emerges. So our definition of validity here is this. If the premises are true, then the conclusion must be true. It has to do with the structure, not with the words. Another way to look at premises in a relationship to each other, in a relationship to the conclusion, is kind of like stepping stones. So imagine that this is your house, and you pull up to your house, and then at your house there's a set of stepping stones that lead to a garden. And so say there's this garden over here that you want to get to, and conveniently you have stepping stones that all work with one. If you step on one, you step on the other. One leads to the other, and the other leads to the other. And together, if you walk on a path, it will lead you to the conclusion, or in our example, your goal, the garden. So you want the premises, if you buy into one, then you can buy into the other one. And if you buy into them sequentially, then eventually you'll get to that conclusion. You don't want the premises to not work with each other. The premises have to be tied to each other, just like you want the stepping stones to work with each other. Imagine you have this garden and these stepping stones. There's no natural way to get to the garden using the stepping stones, and so it's completely unclear what the stepping stones have to do with the garden. Rather, you want the premises to work with each other in such a way that if you follow them, it brings you to the conclusion. The thing is that the premises do the work themselves, but you have to support the premises, convince your reader that the premises are true. Because while it is the case that if you're able to put good premises up there, then the reader's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see how that would lead to the conclusion. But the thing is, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to fall in hot lava. So if you want them to step on these stepping stones, you're gonna have to convince them these stepping stones will hold their weight. Imagine this case. This guy wants to get to the castle. In order to do that, he has to cross these stepping stones. What's the first thing you want to know about these before you walk across the lava? Well, number one, if it will hold your weight, right? And number two, if it leads to the castle, yeah. And so what you want to do then for your premises are like these stepping stones, and this pillar is like your support for the premise. So say you have a premise, if it's raining, then it's cloudy. What you write down with these beams right here is the reason why the reader should believe only that statement. If it's raining, then it's cloudy. And so if you're able to convince your reader of the strength, the support of these stepping stones, the strength of these premises, and at the same time it's very clear how the premises lead to the conclusion, then your reader is it would be doing something almost irrational not to believe your conclusion if she believes your premises. Now this leads us to our last concept of this video, and this is soundness. A sound argument is one with a valid form, but it's also one with true premises. And so our goal is to write an argument such that the premises work with each other, and if you hold to one premise, and then you read the next premise, you can see how the first premise leads to the second one, and the second one, together with the first, lead to the conclusion. Not only that, though, but you want to tell your reader why each of these premises is true. Convince your reader that the premise, as stated, is true. And this is kind of what we'll be doing when we support our premises and do our essays. When you're writing an essay, you'll put an argument into standard form. And then you'll take each premise at a time and then write a defense of why that premise is true. The reason why this is what we'll be doing is because as you'll see, the arguments, the forms, the premises, and their relationship with each other, they do all the work in the argument. And so all you will need to do is support that those premises are true. And then if your reader understands your support and sees how one premise leads to another, then he or she is, in some senses, rationally obligated to believe your conclusion.